Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Radha Gopinath Jayo Radha Gopinath. Radha Gopinath Jayo Radha Gopinath Jayo Shri Radhe. Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha, Baladeva Jayo Subhadramai. Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai, Patita Pavan Gauranitai. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotar Sat Shat Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki. Hare Krishna. A very, very warm welcome to all of you who've made it to 180 Falcon, North Sydney on a very, very rainy Friday morning. So thank you so much. And welcome you all to this Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. And all of the devotees and viewers who are listening in have tuned in. A very, very warm welcome and thank you for tuning in. So for those who are new, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam class in the temple every morning, 7:45 to 8:45, where we read and recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. You all are familiar with what Srimad Bhagavatam is, yeah? The Granthraj of all the Vedic literature. We read one verse and then we have a discussion. So today we are reading verse 30 from chapter 20, canto 4, which is also on the whiteboard for those who don't have access to the book. Or you can open your mobile phones and you can just type in SP 4.20.30 and you shall get the shloka. Yeah? All right, so we'll recite the shloka first. Manye giram te jagatam vimohinim Varam Vrishnaveti मजन्तमाथ्ययत् वाचा तु तन्त्या यदि ते जनवासितः कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं वृणीष्वेति मजबन्तमात्ययत् वाचानुतन्त्या यदि ते जनवासितः कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं वृष्णेति भजन्तं अथायत वाचा तु तन्त्या यदि ते जनवसितः कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं विष्णुवेति भजन्तमाथयत् वाचा तु तन्त्या यदि ते जनोसितः कथं करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं वृष्णि कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः वन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं विश्वेति भजन्तमाथयत् वाचानुतन्त्या यदि ते जनोसितः माताजी मन्ये गिरं ते जगतं विमोहिनीं वरं विश्वेति भजन्तमाथयत् वाचानुतन्त्या यदि ते जनोसितः कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं विश्वेति भजन्तमाथ्ययत् कथं पुनः कर्म करोति मोहितः मन्ये गिरं ते जगतां विमोहिनीं वरं विश्वेति भजन्तमाथयत् वाचा तु तन्त्या यदि ते जनोसितः Thank you. Word for word. Manye, I consider. Giram, words. Te, your. Jagatam, to the material world. Vimohinim, bewildering. Varam, benediction. Vrinishvati, Vrinishva, sorry, just accept. Iti, in this way. Bhajantam, unto your devotee. Atha, you spoke. Yet, because. Vacha, by the statements of the Vedas. Nu, certainly. Tantya, by the ropes. Yadi, if. Te, your. Janaha, the people in general. Asitaha, not bound. Katham, how. Punaha, again and again. Karma, fruitive activities. Karoti, perform. Mohitaha, being enamored. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions. Purport. Srila Narottama Das Thakura, a great acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, has said that persons who are very much attached to the fruitive activities of the Vedas, namely Karmakanda and Jnanakanda, are certainly doomed. In the Vedas, there are three categories of activities known as Karmakanda, fruitive activities, Jnanakanda, philosophical research, and Upasanakanda, worship of different demigods for receiving material benefits. Those who are engaged in Karmakanda and Jnanakanda are doomed in the sense that everyone is doomed who is entrapped by this material body, whether it is a body of a demigod, a king, a lower animal, or whatever. The sufferings of the threefold miseries of material nature are the same for all. Cultivation of knowledge to understand one's spiritual position is also, to a certain extent, a waste of time, because the living entity is an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. His immediate business is to engage himself in devotional service. Prithu Maharaj therefore says that the allurement of material benedictions is another trap to entangle one in this material world. He therefore frankly tells the Lord that the Lord's offerings of benedictions in the form of material facilities are certainly causes for bewilderment. A pure devotee is not at all interested in bhakti and mukti. The Lord sometimes offers benedictions to the neophyte devotees who have yet not understood that material facilities will not make them happy. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord therefore says that a sincere devotee who is not very intelligent may ask some material benefit from the Lord. But the Lord, being omniscient, does not generally give material rewards, but, on the contrary, takes away whatever material facilities are being enjoyed by his devotee, so that ultimately the devotee will completely surrender unto him. In other words, the offering of benedictions in the form of material profit is never auspicious for the devotee. The statements of the Vedas which offer elevation to heavenly planets in exchange for great sacrifices are simply bewildering. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 42, the Lord says, Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashitaha. The less intelligent class of men, avipashitaha, attracted by the flowery language of the Vedas, engage in fruitive activities to become materially benefited. Thus, they continue life after life in different bodily forms to search very, very hard. Hare Krishna. Jnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachari Shesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We'll just read the translation once more. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions. Interestingly, what Lord Vishnu is saying. So here the context is Lord Vishnu has appeared on the sacrificial arena of Prithu Maharaj. He tried to perform Ashwamedha Yajna, which is like 100 horse sacrifices, which was obviously hindered by Lord Indra. He stole the last horse for the last Yajna, so it couldn't be completed, and there was obviously some disagreement to pacify Lord Prithu. Then Lord Vishnu appears on the sacrificial arena. So this is just a background and context for the newcomers here. Now, when Lord Vishnu appeared on the scene, he's advising Lord Prithu. And interestingly enough, what the Lord is advising here to Prithu Maharaj is exactly what Narad Muni is also advising to King Prachinabhari in later chapters of the same Canto 4. So if we fast forward to Canto 4, chapter 29, text 47, this is exactly what Narad Muni is also advising King Prachinabhari. So I'll just quickly read the translation. I don't want to take away from this verse, whoever will be speaking on this. So Narad Muni says, "My dear King Bahirsman, you should never, out of ignorance, take to the Vedic rituals or to the fruitive activity which may be pleasing to hear about or which may appear to be the goal of self-interest. You should never take these to be the ultimate goal of life." So, it's essentially being echoed, just showing how important and how relevant it is for us as devotees, for us who are constantly engaged in devotional service, whose ultimate goal is to attain Krishna Prema. So what Prabhupada in his purpose is trying to tell us, echoing the sentiments of Lord Vishnu and the message, is that we shouldn't get caught up, rather, in these fruitive activities or karmakanda, which is essentially doing something or performing something in anticipation of getting something in return. I mean, it's very natural. It's human tendency, yeah? It's human mentality. We always ask, what's in it for me? Be it spiritual or material. We never work for free. I mean, unless you're doing volunteering work. But at the back of the mind, we're still thinking, I do volunteering. It looks good. It, boosts my ego. I'm pretty sure I'll get some benefits in the long run. When we are working, after everything, our question is, what salary am I going to get? How much money am I going to make? So it is inherent human nature. We are born like that. So we bring that also to our spiritual life in some sense. We bring that also to our devotional activities. Okay, fine. If I go to the temple every day, I'm going to get my wish fulfilled. If I chant this mantra 1,000 times, I'm going to get this benefit. Now, if you see all our shlokas and mantras in the Vedas, when you read them, start to finish, there's always what we call the Falashruti at the end of the verse. What is Falashruti is essentially telling you, by reciting this mantra, by reciting this shloka, this is the benefit you will get. This is the phala, or the fruits you'll get by performing this Vedic ritual. Like even chanting and reciting is a ritual. Even chanting and reciting is form of a yajna, if I may. So it's so inbuilt and ingrained in us that we have to do everything because we're going to get something in return. even just to give an example, when the team was out doing fundraising and when we were doing presentations to the potential donors, the first slide that we showed them was, why charity and why donating to a good cause is so important. It redeems your ancestors, it gives you, I don't know, heaven or heavenly planets, just to give an example. But then that's what we put up front because that's what normally people want to hear. Okay, fine, I'll give you $1,000, but what am I going to get? What's my return on investment? So Prabhupada is telling us that that is not what we to hear. When we are serving the Lord, our attitude and our mood should be that I'm serving Lord to give pleasure to the Lord. Because I want to achieve the ultimate Krishna prema or, a position at his lotus feet. So that is essentially the context of this purport and topic. Also, what I'd like to point out here is I was listening to a lecture by Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, and what he was saying is every time we read or hear something, we have to contemplate and meditate about it from 2 points. One is contextual and central. So when we are reading a text, we need to think, is it conceptual or is it central? Is it the central message of what we are reading, or is it relevant and related to what is happening or the situation that is being described? So now, for example, if somebody like, a newcomer just comes in, opens up the Bhagavatam and, goes to Canto 4, Chapter 20 and, text 30 and reads the first line where Narottama Das Thakur is saying that, people who are attached to the fruitive activities are certainly doomed. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the head or tail of what is going on. He just randomly opens a page and this is what he reads. So, that's not how we should then, he needs to then, first understand what's going on. So that is very, very, what is being discussed is very, very conceptual. It's the Lord giving advice and giving suggestions to one of his pure devotees when he's saying this. So the essence of Bhagavatam is not to dissuade us from doing, our activities or our karmas. The central theme of Bhagavatam is to attain Krishna Prema. Prabhupada is trying to teach us how we should conduct ourselves, what should be our mood, what should be our consciousness, what should be, our attitude when we are serving the Lord and his devotees. When we are doing any sort of a activity, what should be our mood? Our mood should not be that, I'm doing this to attain something. That is Krishna consciousness. I'm doing it to please Krishna. I'm doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. And again, it's interesting because there are very few verses in the Bhagavatam which are repeated, which then tells us how important it really is. Now, another point here is, having said that, fruitive activities are karma kandas, and those engaging in karma kandas, jnana kandas, or following the Vedic scriptures, Prabhupada is not, disrespecting any of it. He's not saying it's bad. He's not saying it's, we just need to discard it. In fact, when we read the offenses to the holy name every morning, one of them is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and persons of the Vedic version, which means we are reminding ourselves that whatever is written in the Vedas is there for a reason. So in no way, just because we think we've reached a level of Krishna consciousness, we've reached a level of, this pure devotional service, then we can just shun and we can just, disregard what is written in the Vedas. No, that's not what we are saying. Vedas are there, the Vedic literature and whatever is mentioned in the Vedas are to get people to a mode of goodness. You know how the Vedas are, they deal with three categories or modes of nature. Yeah, tamas, rajas, and sattva. So tamas is the mode of ignorance, as we all know. Rajas is the mode of passion, and sattva is the mode of goodness. We as human beings, we are not saying one is bad or one is good. All three are important, and we need them to survive. Just imagine if we completely give up our tamasic consciousness, we'll not be able to sleep. Tamas is what? Ignorance. So we need that little element of tamas to be able to rest, to be able to shut down, to be able to sleep. We need that little bit of element of rajas, which is mode of passion, to be passionate about what we are doing, to be passionate about delivering our service to the Lord. And sattva, obviously, we all aspire to be sattvic, eat sattvic food, which is a prasadam, hear sattvic lectures, which is, or kirtan, which is, the Hare Krishna kirtan, sattvic association, which is association of devotees. So the Vedas are bringing people to this sattvic level or to the mode of goodness by having people engage in all these different karma kandas, like, to Prabhupada's point, doing all these sacrifices, doing all these shloka recitations or mantras or whatever, that is mentioned in the Vedas. They are trying to bring them to a mode of goodness. But about this mode of goodness also, there is something which we call the Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva is what? Krishna consciousness. Where everything that we do is beyond the concept of I, me and mine. It's beyond the concept of, why am I doing it? What will I get by doing it? Shuddha Sattva or Krishna consciousness is I'm doing it for the Lord. I'm doing it for Radha Gopinath. I'm doing it for Krishna. And that's the level Prabhupada wants us to get at. So that is the central message of the Bhagavatam. So he's given us tons of examples where he said that even those who are in the mode of goodness, who are engaging in all these activities, the karmas, there's always a risk. They are prone to fall down. We have so many examples, where they have achieved the highest level of perfection, where they could, stand on one leg and meditate for several hours. They've pleased the demigods and achieved what not. Like Ravana, for example. He worshipped Lord Shiva so much, and he got a benediction. He got multiple benedictions that he could literally construct a Lanka made of gold. So that's a benediction. So when Ravana was trying to please Lord Shiva, that was his motive. But then eventually we know what happened. So pleasing the demigods, doing something for demigods is also done in more of goodness, right? You have to be sattvic, you're doing all those penances and all that. But what happened to him? He did suffer a fall down. Another example is Prajapati Daksha. He also did all these sacrifices and arranged this big sacrificial arena. Eventually what happened? Had a fall down. There are so many examples in the Shastra. So Prabhupada's point and Prabhupada's message to us is we need to aspire to elevate ourselves above this level. Because even in the mode of goodness, there is always a risk of fall down. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, thank you, Prabhuji. Now, can you think of any other examples? Maybe outside of Bhagavatam, in Ramayana or anything, where devotees or even non-devotees have prayed and prayed for achievement of something but suffered a fall down. Bhaumasura, isn't it? Where if he puts his hand on someone, he just, like that. Yeah. If he puts his hand on someone, that person who he touches just explodes. And that way he wanted to eventually, put his hand on Lord Shiva and, destroy him so that he could rule the world. I mean, Indra, for example, he's a king of the heavenly planets. But look how many times in the Bhagavatam have we come across instances where, he's cheated, he's stolen. That's a form of a fall down. Fall down doesn't necessarily mean you have to, stop doing your spiritual practices. Engaging on all these, deceitful activities is also a sort of a fall down. In fact, even King Bharat, for that matter, he was in the mode of goodness. He was living alone in the forest, doing all his tapasya, praying to the Lord day in, day out, but eventually fell down. Why? Because of a deer, a baby deer. So that's what Prabhupada is getting at, and that's what, the essence is, that we need to rise above these three levels if we are to protect ourselves from any sort of fall down. Because when you're in the level of Krishna consciousness, your mood is such, or your mood should be such, that everything that I'm doing is for the benefit of Krishna. So when the concept of, your pleasures, material pleasures is not there, you're not prone to running behind those. The main reason of a fall down, or the main reason why we get distracted from our spiritual path, is our aspirations that we have. Oh, I want to make more money. I want a beautiful wife. I want a beautiful husband, Oh, I'll do bhakti later. And then that makes us so focused on that impermanent material happiness. We all know that everything that we run after in life, in material life, is temporary, is not permanent. But we are so focused on achieving that impermanent happiness that we forget our real goal of life. And by reading Bhagavatam, by reading the scriptures, we need to pull our mind back to the truth, to the ultimate truth, which is Krishna, serving Krishna. I'm the servant of Krishna. My life revolves around Krishna. Everything that I do is for Krishna. And then once you're focused on that, then believe me, the rest of the things will fall in place. You don't have to worry. And, you're safe. Because ultimately, when Prabhupada went from India to the US and he took the Bhagavatam, when he went to preach, that was the instruction from his spiritual master to him, and the goal was to redeem all these fallen souls and bring them back to the mode of goodness. So, this is again the central theme of Bhagavatam, tying it back to the point that I made earlier. The central theme of Bhagavatam is Krishna consciousness, how to perfect Krishna consciousness, how we can elevate ourselves from this mode of goodness. There are also examples. Now, one may argue that, but then there are also examples in Bhagavatam where, devotees have prayed and Krishna has actually blessed them with opulence, blessed them with a lot of material wealth, blessed them with whatever benedictions they wanted. Can you tell me some examples? Yeah, the classic example, Dhruv Maharaj. We all know the story of Dhruv Maharaj, how he was chastised by his stepmother, Suruchi, because all he aspired, all he wanted was that 5-year-old boy to sit on the lap of his father. And he got scolded by his stepmom. He got sent to the forest. In fact, his real mom sent him to the forest, Mother Suniti, saying, you go to the forest because that's the ultimate goal. Where you go, you pray and attain mercy of the Supreme Lord. So the 5-year-old boy goes to the forest, meets Narad Muni, who becomes his spiritual master, spiritual teacher. Narada Muni gives him the Dvadakshara mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and Dhruv Maharaj meditates, does austerities, penances for 6 months, and finally Lord Vishnu appears before him. But then again, when Dhruv Maharaj left for the forest, although the advice by his mom was to attain Lord Vishnu, he aspired to have a kingdom bigger than his grandfather. Who's his grandfather? Lord Brahma. So he's like, I'll go to the forest, I'll do meditation, I'll do tapasya, I'll do penances, and I will acquire a kingdom which is bigger than my grandfather. So his intention was to get material benefits, to get material opulences. Still, he went through with the austerities. Lord Vishnu appeared, but then once the Lord appeared before him, he's like, I've been so silly. My goal was absolutely wrong. I was chasing the wrong thing. After seeing the Lord, he's like, that's not, the material opulences is not what I want. And being pleased by his devotion, by being pleased by his consciousness, the Lord does award him with the material benedictions that he was aspiring for. Because again, Krishna, when he benedicts or when he showers his blessings, he uses his discretion. Terms and conditions apply. We've read in the purport that if you go to Krishna asking him, if you're a sincere devotee, if you're really aspiring for Krishna prema, but go to Krishna with material desires, he actually take away even the little that you have. And he's not doing it because he's vengeful. He's not doing it, because he's spiteful. He's doing it because he wants you to really come to him and surrender yourself unto him. And Lord Vishnu knew through us consciousness, the state which he's at. He knew that even when I do bless him with all these opulences and material wealth, he's a pure devotee at heart. So there are a number of examples in the Bhagavatam where, in spite of, what we are reading here, the Lord has blessed their devotees with opulences. So, again, coming back to the purport, there is this one line where Prabhupada is saying that the material benediction sometimes, is a trap to entangle men in this material world, and we really need to grasp that and understand that. Because one might think that, hey, I'm going to Krishna and he fulfilled my desires. Yeah, I got tons of money. I got a raise. I got a promotion. I got a cab in office. I got like this amazing, life partner, so on and so forth. But then, if we are at the level, or if we are on the Shuddha Sattva, we'll know that it's just a trap. It's what they call a honey trap, to keep you, entangled, shackled in this material world. Because once you get that, obviously, we may or may not remember Krishna. So we have to be very careful. You know what they say, right? Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes it just comes true. So we need to understand that if we have to really raise to the level of Krishna consciousness, we need to detach. You can't have both your feet on two different boats. Either you have Krishna or you have your material desires. Either it's Krishna or it's you. So, also I'm just going to go back to this 27th chapter where Narad Muni is talking to King. Because there are a few interesting lines in that chapter which I'd like to read. So it says, generally people are very much attracted to the fruitive activities sanctioned in their Vedic rituals. One may be very much attracted to becoming elevated to heavenly planets by performing great sacrifices, like those of King Barhishman. Sri Narad Muni wanted to stop King Barhishman from engaging in such fruitive activities. Therefore, he's now directly telling him, don't be interested in such temporary benefits. And then Bhakti Vinoda Thakur says that Jada Vidya Yata Mayana Vaibhava Tomara Bhajane Badha. Materialistic studies are the glare of Maya alone, and they are an obstacle in the spiritual progress. So, that's again being reiterated to us, that although these, whatever is stated in the Vedic rituals, they might be good for someone, but for those aspiring for real Krishna consciousness, for those aspiring to attain really the love of Godhead, it's better to stay away. It's like even when Prabhupada tells us to chant, or when we've been given the Maha Mantra by our spiritual masters, or even Prabhupada never said, chant and be rich, or chant and be healthy, or chant and get a good husband or wife. Prabhupada says, chant and be happy. Because being happy is what our soul knows. Atmananda, our soul only knows to be happy. And how does it get the happiness? By being close to Krishna, by serving Krishna. Because the soul knows we are part and parcel of Krishna. So Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. So when Prabhupada gave us the Maha Mantra, and when we get initiated as students or children of the spiritual master, and we promise to do 16 rounds, we are not told, we are not given a falashruti that you chant 16 rounds every day and you'll get a good job. That's not how it works. In fact, Ed Prabhu was saying in his class the other day, the more you chant, the more you want to chant. That is what we get. The more you love Krishna, the more you want to love Krishna. And that's the result of what is prescribed to us. In fact, again, coming back to the 10 offenses of the holy name, was it eighth? To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities. So we are not chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are not doing our beads as a ritualistic activity, a Vedic ritualistic activity which is prescribed. We are doing it out of love. Because when we chant, we are literally talking to Krishna. We are calling him. And they say, I've heard in lectures that Krishna dances on your tongue whenever you're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Again, and then we also say that, to chant, what is the 10th one? To maintain material attachments, yeah. So that's, again, not the goal of our chanting. Or any of our devotional services for that matter. We have so many devotees rendering services constantly at the temple. But our mood is never like, I'm doing this to get something. Our mood is, I'm doing it to please Radha Gopinath. I'm doing it to please other devotees. I'm doing it because I know it will give pleasure to Krishna. And that's what sets, us apart, if I may. Sorry, I'm being bashful, but that's what Krishna consciousness is. Doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Removing the I, me, myself, my benefits, what I'm going to get. Or even for that matter, doing it because it's prescribed. Doing it because, Shastras say that, do punya, you'll get punya. Who's seen punya? And what is this punya? Yeah? Again, we are not blaspheming any Vedic literature. We are being very mindful. In fact, Prabhupada said that, to blaspheme, Prabhupada has called it auspicious Vedic rituals in one of the instructions, yeah? So it is auspicious. We are, people should engage because at least it's connecting them to the sattvic nature. It's bringing them to that mode of goodness. But we have to be mindful that that is not the ultimate goal. That is not what we are here for. Our ultimate goal is to please Krishna, serve Krishna, be in the service of Krishna, be in the service of Vaishnavas and other devotees, and do ourselves a favor by elevating ourselves to the Shuddha Sattva or the Krishna consciousness level. Yeah, with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Comments? Yes, Prabhuji. So your question is, how do we understand why these material desires keep coming up? And although we know that we are truly Krishna conscious, trying to be, and we shouldn't have these material desires. Personally, I think that every time something like this happens with me, I take it as a test from Krishna. I was like, maybe Krishna is trying to trick me and test me and see how I react. So it's inherent. We've been conditioned to have these material desires lifetime after lifetime, and we are probably practicing Krishna conscious for a few years. So you can't really compare what we've grown up with and lived with life after life to what we've learned and trying to achieve in the past few years. So if they come up, just let them come up. Because even psychology says that the more you suppress your thoughts and emotions and desires, the more vengeful they are and the more they erupt. So just know that, okay, fine, I have been a human perhaps in my previous lifetime, so if there is an unfulfilled desire or wish, it's just coming up. But then, Radha Gopinath, I offer my desire and wish at your lotus feet. Please take care and please help me eliminate it from. That's what I do. And if you're testing me, please help me that I may, excel and come out with flying colors. That's how I approach it. I hope that answers. Thank you. Yeah. Hare Krishna. I'd also like to take this opportunity to ask for forgiveness if anything that I may have said may have been inappropriate or may have seemed inappropriate. I seek for forgiveness from all of you present here and all those watching online. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.